Welcome back to ZHA Maya training. Today we'll be looking at Maya's NURB surfaces, and we'll be using this stadium as our test. Okay, here it is in Maya. A simple model really. So we're going to be exploring bi-rails, curves, and lofts, rounded surfaces and such. And then later on, this will form part of the MASH training as well. But let's get started. Okay, so we've look at our outliner in the scene. We've got our two surfaces. This is just an instance of that, so we can blow that away straight away. It's got a 5, so we don't see it all shaded. We can turn on the wireframe. Right, so hide the ground, and you see that. So these are our bi-rail surfaces, which would be quite tricky to make if they weren't already in as NURBs, but as polys, it'd be tricky to make. But with NURBs curves, they're really easy. So I'm even going to blow away all these surfaces here. They're gone, and I'm going to turn on our facade curves. And there we are. Change the background color, you can see them. Okay, so the first thing here is the rule is, in order to make a bi-rail surface, you need 3 curves, and they have to touch. They have to be not closed as such. They're all separate curves, but they do need to touch each other at the end here. Now I've done that by snapping. So if I control right click and bring up control points, if I move this point off, that would break the surface. But if I hold down V, I can snap it to. You should be able to snap it to this guy. He says, "What's this C?" There we go. So we know that's definitely on that point there. We go back to object mode to reselect the curve. 1, 2, 3. It's a bit like polygons where you can smooth them, unsmooth them. I'm going to delete these. These are surplus to requirements as well. And that one can go as well. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to show you is sort of nested construction. Alright, so we've got 2 kind of curves here. One there and one there. So we'll lose this one. And we've got this one here. So I'm going to show you how to create this serrated pattern. So I'll delete both of these. And the easiest way to do that is to select the 2 curves you're going to be drawing with. Let's turn on display NURBs CVs so we can see the CVs. There they are. We also want to show NURBs edit points. So the edit points, see a lot of X's that appeared here. So this is what we're going to be snapping to. Okay, so we want to create our curve. Now the simplest curve to do, actually in this case, is we're going to do a linear curve. Okay, so we only need 2 points. Holding down V, we should snap to the first point, and snap to the second point. Hit return. We got our first line. Now, if we were to construct that, it would create the shape. So let's show you the first bi-rail. So we've got our profile. With all bi-rail surfaces, you need a profile and 2 rails. So if we do select the bi-rail profile first, and then 2 bi-rails, and we go surfaces. This is all where all the NURB surfaces and models are contained. Well, NURB tools. And we'll do bi-rail. Because I've already selected it, it should generate the surface already. There we go. It's a very boring surface because it was flat. But you can see here, if we select our bi-rail and we go to NURBs display, we can increase the quality of the display. How that works. That works very well for obviously a flat surface. We're not interested in a flat surface. What we want to do now is rebuild this curve into an arch, and then from an arch we'll create the zigzags. So to do that, we've got it selected. We'll go to curves. Bottom of the curves menu, you've got the rebuild menu. Let's go into there. So this is where we get to choose. So we want to change. We want to keep it the same. CV is the same, but we want it cubic this time. So we're going to hit apply. So we bring up the control points. In fact, actually, we don't want CVs. We want to give it a number of points. We're going to try. Let's try 3. Select our curve again. Apply. Now we should have more control points. There's probably 3 is a bit too much. Let's try 2. Apply. No, 1 will be enough. Not 0, 1. What I'm trying to achieve here is the simplest curve possible. So select that, apply it. Then we go to our control points. There we go. So we want to create a nice, beautiful, elegant arc, which represents our surface or our profile. So now, we have this one, which is surplus to requirement. It does have history on, so if I was to edit this, it would move this around. But we're not concerned with that right now. I might just keep that for prosperity. So now we're going to do is we're going to rebuild this one. This time we're going to do it linearly, and we're going to choose how many points we want. So I think we want 16, if I remember correctly. You can just dial that in or number it in. Hit apply. Okay, so it's created a faceted version. You go to the control points, and you'll get the control points of that curve. So this is where we can select every other one. So that would be, say, the base. Select every other curve point, like this. You won't select the end too. In fact, it might be better to do it this way. So then we get a nice independent one. So we can contract these in, or in fact, what I'm going to do is actually move them up. Thus so. So now that's creating our ridged roof. Now the beauty of this situation is because the history's been kept when we were constructing this. If we edit the original here, we go to the control points. You can see you can still control the serrated edge with the smooth curve, which is cool. So we've got that history there. Okay, so that's one of the things that Maya has over other softwares we can build with construction history. So let's do exactly the same thing by selecting these, and we could do it that way. Or what you can do is you can select the tool. So it is a tool. So tool means once you got selected, the bottom left here will tell you what you need to do. It says select profile curve, so we'll do that first. And then it says select the 2 rail curves. So shift 1, shift 2, and there's our surface. Looking familiar? It should do. That's our main profile. Now, as I said, the history's been kept. So if we go back to this curve, we modify the control points. We will modify the profile while maintaining the history of the serrated edge. So we'll get that interesting shape changes. Beautiful kind of like shapes, and it's all completely live, so you can modify it to your heart's content. This was built in much in a similar way. So that would be the original curve. The history's gone off this one, but that's okay. So we can use the same tool again. Say for example, before we get into the next step, so let's say for example we want to change the profile along the curve. Well, we can do that too. So let's delete our bi-rail here. And what we're going to do now is, see, remember we kept the smooth one? So I'm just going to modify it, remove all those other edges. So we go back to the original shape. Let's select our surface again, delete that. Okay, so now I'm going to use this to create our bi-rail. So I do this, just like that, and then that. We don't need to rebuild anymore. And we'll go surfaces, bi-rail. Okay, so this is giving us effectively, I can now use, say, this isobar as a new profile shape. So let's do that. So let's right click isobar, and we could do the same on the other side just for symmetry. And what we'll do then is we'll do curves. So curves, duplicate curves on surface, which creates that into its own little curve. Okay, that's done its job. So now what that means is now we have, let me just hide this and this profile, we don't see those at the moment. So what that means now is we have a serrated edge, and we're going to go to a smooth curve. Let's hit 3, you can see that's just a smooth sweep. And then we're going to go smooth, serrated, smooth. Okay. Okay, so the previous tool only had 1 profile. This one now has 3. Okay, so if we go back to our surface menu, the tool we're looking for is bi-rail plus 3. So it's obvious. So if you've got 2 profiles, you want to use the 2 profile tool. The bi-rail 3 plus is for anything above 3 profiles, 3 and above. So we'll use this one. So again, it says select any number of profile curves. The order in which you do this is important. So we'll start over here, go to the next one, and then go to the last one. Okay. Once we've done that, we hit enter, and we shift select the first bi-rail and the second bi-rail, and we'll get our surface. Notice the surface doesn't complete. It's because when you do a triple, it will end on the last profile. But what you can see here though, clearly, if I turn up the shading quality, and we isolate this object, you can clearly see now we're going from a serrated edge to a smooth profile at the end, which is kind of interesting. So it almost looks like it's pleating as it comes in, and then unpleats as it comes out. Just to show you, so you can have any number of profiles you like, and as I said, the history is maintained, so that will all work with each other. So let's bring everything back up again, and I'm not interested in that shape for the moment. I just want to show you that was what you could do. So I'm going to delete that profile there and this one here. I don't need to keep that one in there either. So we're going to just create the rest of the object. So I'm going to hide the other construction curves we don't need to see. You get the idea of what their purposes were for, in fact. Oh, they're cool. Okay, so select this one and this one. I'm going to turn off the display. Nurbs, CVs. Display. Nurbs, edit CVs. There we go. I think it was just a visual bug while they weren't going away. Okay, so now we have all our profiles. So let's look at some other shapes. So the other simplest one is a straight loft. So you just, with the loft, the topologies of the two curves do need to be similar, okay, or the same, because obviously they'll go from point to point. So go back to object mode. The order, so select one and the other, and we've got surfaces. This will be straight loft. You can see we created polygons. I've got that set to that. So let's go back to our surfaces. Loft. I'm interested in Nurbs today, so I'm going to go edit, reset the tool. Nurbs are fine. Span, one span. So this is obviously just like polygon extrusion. How many inserts you want to put in along its extrusion. In this case, we just want a straight line, so apply is good. And if we select our object again, remember if you turn up the shading accuracy, we'll get a cleaner representation. Now you can also, and now at the moment I'm going to be doing it from curve to curve, but you can do construction with bi-rails from surface edges. Because every Nurbs edge is actually just a Nurbs curve ultimately, just so you understand that connection there. So if I did just to give you casing points, if I delete this, and I do a bi-rail on the side. So let's do a bi-rail because they're obviously fun. So we'll do our first one here. So we've got there's the profile, and we're only doing a double one. And we'll do surface, not deform, surface, bi-rail tool. There it is. Okay, and we'll also increase the accuracy of that so it's nice and smooth. Beautiful. Right, so casing point. If I hide that rail there, and now I've only got the edge of this, so let's right click, select isobarm. I can select the isobarm, and then I can shift select the surface, and I can see the loft options here. I can go loft. So the advantage of that is if anything I do to this mesh or this surface will move automatically. So that's kind of cool. They'll stay stuck together, if that makes sense. It's not always the case. So when we go to these next ones here, I don't actually want to use the isobarm to join to the next one. For the simple casing point, I'm going to be using a rounding tool to round this off later to give us a bevel. So let's just create another loft from here to here. Remember to increase the accuracy as you go along because it's useful to see it. We'll do another loft here. And here again. To just switch selections, I'm holding Shift, so I've got the surface, and I know that they're overlapping, but if I hold Shift and drag select over both, it inverts the selection back to the curve. Shift select next curve, loft. Okay, you can start seeing that we've got most of the construction side of the facade. Everything else is kind of a repetition of this, so we'll just keep clicking through this. Just want the curve. If you find that you can't select your curve and it's a bit fiddly, just click this one here and you'll disable the selection of any surfaces. So if you're just doing what we're doing now, is just profile, then the two rails, bi-rail. There's another object. You can see you can always select it in the viewport. That's going to be fine. Sorry, in the outliner. Another bi-rail there. I'm going to press G to do the last one. There we go. Okay, so that's basically our setup. We'll turn the surface selections again back on. Let's just go through and tidy up our display of the meshes. So there we go. I will be covering how to do multiple selections and then change the attributes. I've got a friend of mine to do a little thing for that. Okay. I think that's looking pretty good. Okay, so we have all our surfaces here. Ah yes, there's a couple more we want to do. So it's all live at the moment. So if we edited any of these curves, then the objects would move like we saw before. Just give you a casing point. If I was to say select this profile here and edit the control points, the surface will move. And that's the same for all of these curves here. So if we go to any of these and modify them, you'll modify your surface, which is kind of cool. We don't want that. So the next stage is we're going to do the round tool. So remember down here we had to do some stuff. So let's select all our curves. Let's put all these curves here. We don't into the facade. We don't see those. You can hide them. Okay, so we'll bring up the edge display. Okay, so let's see if we can select our surface. So there we go. We'll increase the accuracy of our surfaces. We'll do the same with the precision of the curve as well. So we'll whack it all the way up. Excellent. Okay, so let's go to our tool. Surfaces, round tool. Let's change the options. So the accuracy and rate seems to be good. There you go. So that's 1, and that'll be 2. So just to go through that again, so it's really a matter of you start from nice bar and you work your way out. So select tool again by pressing Y. So if I do here, nothing, just keep working your way along. Press 4 to make sure you can see you're just selecting 2 surfaces. There will be a point where this tool will select. There. And it's roughly where, you see where that point intersects and lifts off on the sides? Right there will be the sweet spot. So if I do it directly below, we'll get the bottom one too. Ready? There we go. Okay, so now we've got our edges, and then we can go through here, we can adjust the sizes if you want to make it more on the top or a little bit more on the bottom, depending on what your design requires. When you're happy with the profiles, press enter on the keyboard, and that will commit the tool. Like with all things Maya, the history is maintained with the operation. So if we go back to our radius constraints here, we can bring up the attributes, and you can see here some values. So I can say make them both 0.2, and we start to see what we can do with that. So again, I always like to go up high on the precision, just so we get to see our design in its best light. You can see we do that, and you can see all the lines all tidying up and cleaning up. So let's bring back our rest of our model. Hit 5. You can see there our rounded corners are doing what they need to be doing. Cool. I hope you find that useful. Round tool is a very useful sort of Nurbs tool for creating effectively fillets on surfaces. So we'll bring back the rest of the object. So there we go. So we've got some nice rounded bevels. Again, be mindful of the display of these items. They should be up to the maximum, and then it should get rid of any hokiness that you see in the viewport. Because ultimately, Nurbs, as you know, are a very, very high quality way of describing surfaces and curves. And so, you know, if you're going into somewhere like Rhino, it's actually quite nice to start with some Nurbs rather than just what's there. I mean, you could quite easily have done that with the profile, but then I wouldn't have been able to get to show you the other tool. Okay, so let's keep going. Alright, so what else can we do with this? Alright, so the next operation, if you want to build the other side of it, is we want to do a mirror. So let's take over all our objects, which is the Nurbs surfaces. Let's group those and call them facade. GRP. And let's duplicate that. Now to duplicate it, we want to mirror it, so we're going to edit, duplicate special. And I'm going to use instance as my duplication. I'm doing -1 and X. I want 1 copy. Hit apply. That creates a mirror of that. Turn off our wireframe. Turn on 7. We'll get let again. And we'll turn our ground on. And that takes us through how to